Before I even get started, I just want to say, if you're looking for a detailed breakdown of the differences between the Canon G7X Mark II and the Sony RX100 IV, then you're probably going to want to go find another video. This video is designed to be short and sweet, showing you the difference between the two cameras in a vlogging style application. I've got a couple of sample clips to show you, and then just some general thoughts to share on what I went through in making my decision and why I ended up settling with the Sony RX100 IV. Hello everybody and welcome to Tech Uploaded. I am Chris, and like I said in the intro, today is going to be a nice short video. Essentially, I just want to show the difference in a vlogging style application between the Canon G7X Mark II and the Sony RX100 IV. I had a little Sony point and shoot that I used for a long time in my vlog, and it finally kind of met its demise. It got used and abused, so I decided I was going to get a new camera, and I really narrowed it down between the Canon and the Sony. Now, there were a lot of other options out there as well. I looked into those, and I narrowed it down to these two. It seems like a lot of other people have as well, based off of kind of some of the comparisons I've been seeing, and I understand why. They're both small, compact cameras that perform very well. The Canon's particularly popular because of its use with so many very popular daily vloggers, but my experience with it was a little bit different. So I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm just going to show the clips first because you may be here just for that. So these clips aren't going to make a whole lot of sense because they were pulled out of one of my vlogs, but they're both recorded in a very similar setting. They're both me on the couch. The lighting is very similar in both of them, so just pay attention to the autofocus performance, the video quality, and the audio quality in these two clips. I went to Taco Bell on December 23rd and got like the Boss Nachos or whatever they were called. And there was like nobody at the office. Everybody's on vacation. So I'm like, this is great. I'm gonna go get these nachos. I'm gonna like rock these nachos. And it was like kind of warm out that day. It was like in the mid 60s or something if I remember correctly. So I was like really enjoying it. It's like middle, almost late December. It's warm. I had the window down about that far. I'm driving back. I'm like ready to destroy these nachos. I get back to the office, I'm like, nachos, 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 get out of the car, run in with my nachos, eat them. Didn't roll up the window. Later that day, there was a tornado warning. We had a massive storm come through. And just, I mean, the rain was just going sideways. I remember sitting in my office and thinking, that rain is like so strong, it's blowing sideways. Went to get in my car after work, saw the window was down. I'm like, son of a... Have you noticed the focus has been actually staying on me? Again, it's just like the old Sony cam. It takes it a couple of seconds to catch the focus, but it seems like once it does, it keeps the focus. And that's the important part. So maybe I just like the way Sony's work better. The Canon, in video, was faster for the most part at autofocusing. If I pointed it at something, it would pick it up usually. And it did have the touch screen, so I could touch the screen, and 9 times out of 10 it would focus on what I touched, whereas the Sony, if I hold something up to the camera, sometimes it takes it a second. However, it locks on the target and keeps it. That's the key point here. If I'm telling you to focus on something, stay focused on it. Don't be floating around for after a couple of seconds. So that was my issue with the other one. It seems like it's got it together with this one. So I had to step up to the RX100, but you know what? The RX100 IV, but you know what? It's a fantastic stills camera. I've been having a lot of fun with it today. All right, so this is totally subjective in some aspects, and in others it's not. So as you could probably tell, the Canon was hunting focus on and off throughout that video, sometimes more severely than others, but if you go back and watch the background, if you missed it, it kind of shifts in and out of focus situations quite a bit, which is very distracting, and sometimes it straight up lost the focus on my face entirely and had to find it again. The camera was set, actually both of them are, to continuous autofocus with face detection, and on the Canon you can actually go one step further by flipping up the screen and tapping on it to touch to focus, similar to what you can do on the Canon DSLRs like the 70D. When you tap on the face when it's locked on the face, it does a double line surrounding the face, and that does help lock the focus a little bit more, and that was the situation I was in taking that clip. So even with me forcing the focus onto myself, sometimes it still slipped and lost it. The camera kind of seemed like it got confused. Also, low light performance, the Canon did do better, but sometimes it did a little too much better. It overshot a little bit. compared to the Sony. To my eyes, the Sony seemed like it just did a better job of being accurate as far as colors, and it seemed to produce just a sharper image overall, in my opinion, than the Canon. It just felt like a more natural picture. But everybody has their own opinion there. I'm pretty much just focusing on, if you're going to be using this for vlogging, how is it going to do on autofocus? I will say the Canon focuses on things faster, but the Sony, when it grabs focus on something, it seems to hold it. So there's not a touchscreen on the Sony. That's a downside. The Sony's more expensive. That's a downside. Sometimes when you're trying to focus on something, say my hand, you've got to kind of hold it there and wait a few seconds for it to grab the focus. There's no way to touch to force the focus, which is a little bit frustrating. You can use this little knob back here to click, and a little dot will show up on the screen, and that is where you can force focus, and then it will track focus on that object from that point forward. But it's not as intuitive as the Canon touch to focus. But when this does grab focus, it holds focus, and it doesn't really lose it all that often, and it's very similar to the old Sony I used to use. So for that reason alone, that's why I went with the Sony. When I'm recording myself, I can do this. I can wait about 3 to 5 seconds to know that it's grabbed focus on my face, and then I can start recording and have the peace of mind that it's not going to be floating and catching things in the background as I'm moving around. And it's just overall a more confident experience to me as far as knowing that the camera is going to stay focused. So I told you, this video is going to be short and sweet. That's pretty much all I wanted to showcase here. If you want to know more, like I said, there's a million videos on YouTube comparing these two cameras and just doing overviews on them each separately. But as far as a vlogging application goes, I did find, at least in my case, the Sony was the overall better camera. I feel the audio quality is a little bit better, the picture quality is a little bit better in most situations. There are times that the Canon does outshine the Sony, but the autofocus, that's what really sold me on using this camera over the G7X Mark II. So that's it. I just wanted to show the comparison between those two and let you decide for yourself. And hopefully it's helpful in your decision-making process between finding your next vlogging camera. As always, if you enjoyed this video, I hope you will click on that subscribe button. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at TechUploaded, and you can shoot me an email at techuploaded@gmail.com, and you can also join the Facebook page and join that conversation, of course, facebook.com/techuploaded. And you know the drill. Don't be a stranger. Check back soon.